There's always satire and it's always sunny. The writers of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia are able to observe and reflect on different situations taking place in society today, and have the characters try to solve and discuss these problems while having a humorous and entertaining spin. The audience sees multiple standpoints on controversial topics discussed nonchalantly among a group of pompous and overconfident friends that seem to always have opinions on today's hot-button issues. The writers are able to use multiple different satiric devices to inform and relate the audience to the same issues they may have already had their own opinions on as well. It's Always Sunny follows the gang on their day-to-day adventures running the unsuccessful Patty's Pub in Philadelphia. Dennis Reynolds is a co-owner of Patty's Pub and Dee Reynolds' twin brother. He is narcissistic, vain, abrasive, and believes he is matched by no other. Sweet Dee Reynolds is a bartender at Patty's Pub. She dreams of becoming an actress, although she has no apparent talent, and is usually the victim of incessant cruelty from other members of the gang. Mac is a co-owner of Patty's Pub and a self-proclaimed sheriff of Patty's. He often brags about his hand-to-hand combat skills, although he typically flees from any physical confrontation. Charlie is the janitor at Patty's Pub, and while being borderline illiterate, he is the most compassionate and morally sound member of the gang. Frank is known as the father of the gang. He used to be a successful businessman with a long history of illegal operations and now shares a studio apartment with Charlie. Almost every episode of It's Always Sunny uses satire and has to do with a controversial issue that the gang discusses or tries to solve. A satire is the use of humor or irony to ridicule, expose, or criticize society's vices. There are multiple different types of satiric devices that are used in different episodes. In this episode, the gang invites over everyone they're feuding with to try to squash their beefs, so to say. They only end up making all of the fights worse, which was an example of irony. In this episode, the gang has a trial to try to decide who is responsible for spilling cereal in Dennis's car. This is known as inflation, taking a real-life situation and blowing it out of proportion. This episode is known as a mock epic. Each gang member has a fantasy about how they would save a supermarket if it were being robbed, and this is using elevated heroic qualities to deal with trivial situations. The next episode is an example of parody, where the gang tries to emulate Extreme Home Makeover. They abduct a family and in turn accidentally burn down their house. Just within the names of the episodes, we are shown what controversial topics is going to be discussed. Some examples are the gang gets racist, Charlie wants an abortion, underage drinking, a national concern, and Dennis and Dee go on welfare. The writers of the show also wrote a book that is told through the eyes of the characters in Always Sunny. That book, of course, also uses satire. The satire shown here is targeting a single person, where it reads, "Another called it the most offensive and unhelpful book since Miley Cyrus's memoir, Miles to Go." Always Sunny discusses topics that are present in our everyday lives, so as the audience, while we watch the characters discuss their standpoints on the issue, we can think about our own views on the same topics.
You know how Charlie works. There's like an emotional toll that comes out of this. I mean, you kill one of those... You kidding me?
What?
You're blowing smoke directly in my face when I'm trying to talk to you.
What is he talking about?
You know what? If you want to smoke, you should have to take it outside. But
It's a bar. Yeah, it's a bar, dude.
No, but you know what, Charlie? I think you're right. I think maybe we should ban smoking in here.
Oh, come on. What? That's completely ridiculous.
How is that ridiculous? There's smoking bans in a lot of states now.
Yes, and it's completely un-American.
If you don't like smoke, then don't come into the bar.
I work in this bar. I work here.
But that's because you have the freedom to choose to work here, okay? Smoking bans, they don't protect freedom. They strip them away from smokers.
Whether or not it should be legal to smoke inside a business has been a hot debate for quite some time. Recently, because more and more establishments are placing bans on where smoking is allowed. As of January 1st, 2015, over 22,000 municipalities in the United States have a law in place to restrict where smoking is allowed. There are 36 states that have smoking bans in effect for different workplaces.
We should do something.
I mean, our schools aren't safe. There are people out on the streets with assault rifles.
We're living in constant
more guns onto the streets. Yeah, we gotta get guns in the right hands. I mean, we're just not safe.
That's what you guys are hot about? Yeah, didn't you hear what Frank
Yeah,
said?
what are you hot about?
There are too many guns on the streets as it is. Guns off the streets is what we need.
Way too easy for anybody to just walk into a store and get a gun.
No, it's not. It's getting harder and harder. The government's trying to take our guns away. It's way harder than you think, dude.
Gun control and gun rights have been a hot topic in Congress for a few decades, specifically the past couple years. The argument about gun rights will probably not die out anytime soon, so using this topic for multiple episodes in Always Sunny is smart. People will relate to the topics that the characters are discussing and will want to see what conclusion for the problem they come up with.
Oh my God, dude! Who just takes their vehicle and parks in someone's, street and says, "This is my street. I'm gonna live here now because I'm poor"?
I'll tell you who. New poor.
What?
Ever since the recession hit, waves of new people are suddenly broke. These people have no idea how to live without money. They're what's called new poor. We're old poor.
Yeah, they could stand to learn a lesson or two from us because we would never take our homelessness and shove it down everybody's face.
Oh, have some class if you're gonna be poor.
All right, let's get this guy out of here. Send him a message.
Right, let's slash his tires.
Yeah, well, not that, though, because then he can't leave. That doesn't make any sense.
Oh, you start putting plans under microscopes and nothing's gonna make sense, huh?
In 2008 to 2009, America suffered its largest recession since the Great Depression in the 1930s. So of course the writers of Always Sunny wanted to optimize the humor they can find in the situation. In an episode of Always Sunny, we see the gang trying to keep their bar afloat during the Great Recession. While this could be something so many people are going through with failing businesses and being laid off, the writers are able to take a satirical approach on the situation. Here we see some interviews of the writers of Always Sunny. They were asked about how they feel about bringing up some controversial issues on a network television show.
We did it because we thought that's what's going on in the world, and this is the kind of stuff we think is funny. These were issues that people tend to get a little stirred by.
I think the reason that we don't hear too much about it is because everybody kind of gets it.
I don't find what we do shocking. Edgy, sure, but I think it's just satire.
It seems that the writers don't hear too much negative feedback about the topics they're discussing. I think that they continue to push the envelope more and more because so far, people seem to be responding positively to the different situations in their episodes. Sometimes the episodes can shed light on how ridiculous people with one point of view look to others on the other opposing side. They take the most extreme points of both sides and highlight them so they have the biggest contrast possible with each other. The writers of Always Sunny use satire in almost every single one of their episodes. Whether they're doing it to show people how ridiculous they look, or to show the gang trying to solve society's problems, people continue to respond positively. I would say there is going to continue to always be satire in Always Sunny in Philadelphia for a long time.